Hey, you guys. Just gonna wait for some of you to come on here. Do a little quick smiley face and see if that. I'll type my website in. Hey, you guys. How are you? Just gonna wait for about 10 more of you to come on. You can feel free, let me do a quick hair fluff. You can feel free to like the video or comment. One sec. Sorry, got that hair. If you can hear me and see me clearly, you can just hit the like button and I'll know that I'm being heard clearly. So today I want to talk about something that I think a lot of us can relate to, and it's from that section in 2017 where we had those massive planetary shifts that jolted us up and out of our perceived reality, right? So what happened around that time is we were in these situations, relationships, these dynamics, and a lot of them were codependent, right? And a lot of them were built on a premises of, could have been a portion of what we grew up with, and then a portion into like what we brought into our adult life. And codependency can be many different dynamics, right? It can be someone who's emotionally needy. It can be someone whose mother calls them every 5 minutes. It can be someone who's dependent on others financially. It can be a lot of things. So we came smack dab into something where we saw everything we were with as not being real because it was like staring us in the face. So many of us looked at those situationships and we were like, okay, I need to end this with this person because this represents a part of me that I don't like. But what we weren't taking a closer look at is how we had codependent dynamics in other areas of our lives. For example, like with a boss, right? Some of you may have just lost a job. And that's great. Congratulations. Welcome to entrepreneurship. Or within a family structure where there was a codependency going on there, right? Where kind of one child could have been targeted and always seen as like the stable child, right? So there was a little bit of manipulation going on, creating a dynamic with that particular child, that would be the child to be the caregiver to the parents when they became elderly or something of that nature, right? It could have been in personal relationship where you could have been like mega love bombed from day one. Thanks, you guys. And Super Chats is on, by the way. And if this resonates, private reading, thedetoxintuitive.com, click on spiritual gifts and offerings, choose your reading. You know what to do. So you could have also been in a situation where you were love bombed, right? So love bombing is where someone just slews you with cash and prizes and trips, etc., and kind of sweeps you off your feet. And then the real person comes out, whether it be, can be anything. It could be physical abuse, it could be verbal abuse, what have you. So we shifted into a different dynamic. And some of us took charge. Some of us took, I think I took about 9 months and was in like a deep depression. And then I started focusing on a second business and lifted myself out of that deep depression. And unfortunately, the second business I have built, there were some people that didn't like seeing me self sufficient and depending on myself. So the past year, someone's been trying to take that down, and they successfully did, but I'm building it back up now. But it's been a real hinder in my life, a real hinder. For some of you, this was family. For others of you, it could have been like an ex partner or something of that nature. So, getting back to what I was saying, around that area of time, we all met. We were already walking within our soul family, right? The partner we were with was already a partner from a past life, but we met, our person. And it would have happened right around, it's like October, November, December 2017 was when all the planetary shifts happened. So that was a really heavy scenario, right? Because then we met people and we were like, oh my God, what is this? It's serendipitous. It feels so incredibly like unbelievable. Like this feels so right. This feels so good. This feels like, wow, But a lot of us carried heavy wounds from the situation that had a lot of karma built into it that we were already in. Please keep in mind too, I don't like to use the word twin flame because I think it's just a salesy word, but these past life relationships are not easy. They're the ones that are pretty difficult. The relationships that aren't past life related are usually easier to form, certain dynamics with moving forward because they're easy. There's less drama, etc. Oftentimes, too, past life relationships, people have a lot of trouble from detaching from. Detachment is your best friend. And I did a 3-part video series that I put out last week. It's on a private link, so you won't find it on my Vimeo channel. I'm going to start uploading everything to Patreon and pretty much moving all my videos over to Patreon. But I highly suggest if you didn't pay the $97 for it, you pay the $97 and get it, because there's a healing video, there's a breaking codependency video, and there's actual literal steps in how to do it. So the problem came when we were ending these codependent situations, but we were only ending them in certain areas of our lives and not in others. For example, we would end a codependent relationship with, say, a partner, but we didn't end it with our child, right? So do you know what I mean? Like there was still codependency going on. And, if your child's under 18, you have to care for them and everything. You care for them forever, of course, but there's certain guidelines that should be put in place and really examined. There were a lot of mother-child dynamics that weren't being clearly addressed too, that needed to be looked at, where mothers were kind of controlling, who their children dated, who their blah, blah, blah. So, I've talked a lot about what happened in my situation, and I am so sick of talking about it that I don't want to ever bring it up in a video again. It's exhausted me, and it's exhausted me physically, and what I've been put through since that ended has exhausted me mentally. And so I've really prided myself on balancing my body, mind, and my spiritual side. And for the past, I would say several months, my spiritual side and definitely my mind, there's a name for it. The body side is the yoga side. It's is it prana? Is it prana's breath? Anyway, the mind, there's a name for the mind. And I cannot remember what it is. But the best way I can describe what I went through is NASA. NASA in Hebrew means just look it up. Look up what NASA means. So I'll actually read you the definition of it right now. To bear, to carry, to take on, to have to be strong for, um, to lift up. So it's kind of a little deceiving, the word. It just means you've really bared a lot, and I feel like I bared a lot for other people's inadequacies, inadequacies to step up, inadequacies to show bravery, inadequacies to be honest, inadequacies to let go. So when that happens, the person bitching looks like they're the one like not letting go. When in reality, a person who tries to mind control really will never give you the answers to simple questions you're asking, because that's another form of not letting you go. They want to kind of keep you stuck. So the best advice I can give any of you, and it's really important you do this before your Saturn returns. We've got Saturn's in retrograde and it's about to go direct. So the best advice I can give you is to practice really strong detachment. And when I say really strong detachment, I mean detachment in every sense of the word. Detaching fully, detaching from you what you know is not meant for you. So I really had to, and again, this is the last time I'll ever bring this up because it's exhausted me. I have really had to step into my shadow side to leave things in the past, behaviors, people, etc., ancestral karma, a lot of things forever. I had to really step into my shadow and really speak my truth. Big time, big time. Woo. I'm just gonna hang on, you guys. Hang on, hang on. I have plans for tonight, and so I don't want to mess up my pretty face. Got a pretty facial today. So I had to really step into my shadow side to really make myself stronger, build my mind back up after it had been kind of tossed around like a tether ball. You know, it was like bat, we'll bat it back, bat it back. So essentially, when we try to serve someone else their karma, okay, when we try to kind of mess with the mind of another, so manipulate, right? Sometimes by what we don't do, what we don't say, that's a really big form of manipulation. That always is returned to us, always. So there were a lot of questions left unanswered. And then when I became self-sufficient and stopped asking questions, someone decided to tear my self-sufficiency away from me by putting obstacle after fucking obstacle into my life. And this has been an ongoing problem, a karmic lesson of mine for the longest time, where I would get into these relationships. And I've only had like 4 relationships in my life, and one lasted 10 years. It was a very healthy relationship. I was just bored as fuck and left. Sorry. I was young and left. But the last 3 relationships I've been in were built upon people who wanted to keep control and wanted to have a codependent situation. So, the love bombing in the beginning, the gifts, flowers every day, the fucking trips, the this, the that, the putting you down and then building you back up with, whatever. That was really, and I remember, I will never forget trying to end something like 3 times and then, no, let's go to Vegas. No, let's go, and it's just like, and then the relationship before that, where God, I got engaged and moved in with someone within like 3 months of knowing them. That's control. And then I don't abide by rules well, especially if I'm not benefiting in something, if I'm not being pleased intimately, or if I'm not, and this was years and years ago. This isn't anything recent. Definitely was not in, this is definitely not referring to anything in the last, 4 years or so. But so when there's a sense of someone trying to control you and you don't abide by the rules, and then you detach yourself and finally focus on a route of becoming dependent on yourself. And it's really the first time since you were, in your 20s that you've been fully dependent on yourself. When I moved here with like 2 million in the bank, and I lived off that. So I was dependent on myself then. And then little by little, I got engaged. I got in a relationship where someone kind of used me to like get a bigger name in social media and stole some of my work and tore me down. And that ended. And I was left in a rental situation where I was paying close to $5,000 a month in rent and by myself. And I went through my money. I moved in here 6 years ago. And 2 years after I lived here, it was a struggle during that 2 years. I got in a relationship, and it too was a codependent relationship. But it was a pattern for that person. It was a pattern with his child. It was a pattern with his ex, and the money, and paying for things. And so, breaking that was difficult for both of us to do, but I broke it and became self-sufficient. And someone didn't really like to see me prosper. They didn't like seeing me feel good and get boxes delivered from Amazon every day. And they didn't like seeing my light. I'm not going to say who that person was, and I'm not going to tie it to that old relationship either. I'm not going to say that today. I actually have a list behind this camera of what I can and cannot say today. So, because this has now become a legal issue, so I'm not going to say anything. But that has been a huge lesson in control for me. A huge lesson in control for me, in what I will and will not tolerate in my life. And I want to apologize to all of you guys for me acting a little bit irrational in some of my videos. I seriously had a group of people really, really fucking with me on a grand scale. And really, really, it was really like obstacles, deliberate. It's almost like if someone sees you and they know that you're interested in someone or something, or you're going in a certain direction with your work, and they want to shut you down. So they'll like put obstacles in your way to distract you. That's exactly the play out that has been going on. So now this group of people knows what I will tolerate and what I won't tolerate. And talk about it taking a village to take down one person. There was like 3 villages and I'm still standing. So, but I need to bury this now, and I'm burying it legally, as in moving forward legally with it. But I need to bury this story because I don't want it to be my story any longer. So I energetically had some clearing work done today, and very amazing clearing work done by 2 people that I really have a lot of respect for. And we buried the leeches. We buried the leeches. And I want to talk to you guys about something. I want to talk to you about like black magic and dark energy and that kind of thing. For those of you who feel like someone's done voodoo on you or blah, 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 wah, 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 wah. No one, especially if you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart, no one can affect your energy. No one can. There are ways around that to where you can protect your energy. And I talk about that in that 3 series video. So the links will be below this video. So, yeah, haters do suck. Story of my life, haters do suck. But haters also tell you that you're doing something right, because usually it's out of jealousy. And it gets really, what happens is it gets so confusing, or what happened in my situation, and this actually was the goal, that it got so confusing that I didn't know who I could trust anymore. I didn't know who I could trust. From clients to friends to family to loved ones, I didn't know who I could trust. But I got very sober in every sense of the word. So sober that I won't even drink coffee. That's how sober. That's how cleansed my body is. And so I have to look at like the videos I shot yesterday and think, God, Audrey, those are so fucking negative. I was just watching them like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And at the beginning of the first video, I kind of jut out and I'm like, this. That was because it was taking the screenshot, or so I thought. That looked so cheesy. But I'm not going to delete it. And here's why. Because that is so my shadow side. And if that's as worse as it gets, and it actually gets pretty bad, and that's it, I'm going to leave it. Because part of my personal growth process has been to not give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I just don't. You know, I'm not running for office. And if I was, my person would probably get nominated because people would just want to watch and be in my bullshit, you know, and that's what I want to address today. When you are authentically you and you are shining your light, people will so try to knock you down. Please don't let them. Please don't let them. So, dealing with a lot of people, here's another thing I want to explain to you. When you have people that hate you on social media because their husband has liked one of your photos or something, and they're sending you emails bitching. When you have another group of men that just over the past 20 years you've turned down to date and they're watching. When you have certain friends that are kind of frenemies that pretend to be your friend and they're really your enemy and they're watching. When you have an ex from years ago that's a total fucking leech and has always tried to intercept every relationship you're in because they haven't done their own healing work and they're watching. And then their girlfriend is crazy and probably watching, and you have all these people watching you. It is very heavy. It's a lot of fucking heavy energy. And then your family's watching, so you're like, I can't use that as an example because my family might think it's about them, or shit. Now I'm reading the sign of Cancer and I've got like a zillion cancers in my family, so I have to be careful of what I say. And that shit's going through your head. and you just don't want to piss anyone off, it is heavy. It is heavy. And then you've got people who, with recent exes that they've been involved with for 20 plus years, that fucking hate you, right? And they're watching. And then you've got, phony clients that were sent your way, people that were sent your way as clients because you had a suitor that wanted to find out, you know, find out more about you, and they're watching. When you've got all of this energy around you, and you're like a sponge energetically, and you've got a lot of water in your chart, it would drive anyone batshit crazy. And so the past year has been so heavy for me energetically. I feel like I've aged 20 years. Honestly, I feel like, where is the work? Like, I don't need a day away. I need about a month to cleanse, detoxify, to purify, to lay on a beach and get facials, to, whatever. If I need nipped and tucked, whatever. Seriously, this is how I felt, because it has caused me to be like a closet hermit, like not wanting to leave the house. And I know that many of you are watching and like, okay, you're not that important. Who do you think you fucking are? Like, not all these people are watching you. If you would see the obstacles that were put in my way online, in my business, in everything, from someone who worked for me, got paid to quit, and then came back and told me they were paid to quit, a fake client being sent my way, someone putting a source code blocker. Oh, by the way, isn't this interesting? So the source code block that was put on PayPal, where I couldn't transfer money from my PayPal account to my bank account, magically lifted right after I shot that video. So for 3 months that had been on, and it was PayPal's fraud department looked into it. I spent 3 hours with them on the phone 2 days in a row, and they looked into it. We're like, we're fucking clueless. We don't know. And there seems to be some kind of source code block or some kind of code. We can't figure it out. It looks like a hacking situation. We haven't dealt with any other accounts that have dealt with this specific issue unless they've been flagged or something. My account wasn't flagged. I've been with PayPal for 13 years. And then magically, I mentioned that in a video and it's lifted. That's heavy, man. If any of you have placed orders, I haven't gotten them. I haven't. As far as the tangible goods I send out, haven't gotten them. You'll have to email me. You have to email me through the site. And I apologize for that. There was a period of time where all of my stuff, all of my passwords and things like that have since been changed. But, the person I initially thought had done this, and they might still have a big hand in it. I don't even want to go in and say, big technical background, and it's not good. It's not looking good for this person, and I feel really bad for this person, and I feel really sad that someone could hold so much hatred in their heart towards me. But now that we have went through this and I have talked about this so much, I really need to release it. And the way you guys can support me is you can support me. You can make donations. That's always welcome. You can go under any of my videos and the links are underneath it. And I'm fine, you guys. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'll always be okay. Or depending on no one else, and I'll always be okay. Or you can purchase the 3-series reading or a reading. That is always, always, always helpful. So I just wanted to make that very clear. And I wanted to kind of explain to you guys that if you are still in a dynamic where you are feeding into that type of behavior, and that type of like hatred in your system on either end, if you're reacting to it or responding to it, or you're dishing it out. Because serving someone, so this particular group of people, because there's more than one person involved, feels like, okay, well, karma's a bitch. This person deserves that. When you do that, oh my God, God help you. God help you. It comes back so quickly. It really, really does. It really does. And, with my situation, there was someone who kind of tried to step in and offer help without saying anything. And that just confused the fuck out of the whole situation. Honestly, it made the situation 1,000 times worse. I mean, I feel bad for saying that, but it took me a while. I had to really tune out, do a 3-day water fast, not take in anything, to really tune into my intuition to get the answers I needed. And then, like I shared in the other video, there were 2 investigators that were hired that worked together as a team. And that's how I got to the bottom of the issue. So I really, really love you guys, and I'm going to come back on here, and I'm going to do finish up the readings for the month. So you can take a look at those. I want to get those done today. Happy day to you. Okay, someone's here. Right?